Welcome back, guys. Week 2 of the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert alongside.
I'm Troy Allen.
Man, and today we're ready to give you,
Yes,
first
sir.
off, tonight, NFL football is back, baby.
About
We're going
time.
to get into fantasy, but first, let's recap Southeastern. Obviously, a tough loss, Mississippi State. Not surprising, the result per se, but the first half, there were some positives to take away. Only 20-7 in that first half. Southeastern got to within 10-7 at one point. One bright spot, we were talking about it before we turned this on, was Harlan Dixon, the transfer running back from Louisiana Tech, Slidell High native, not too far away from Hammond. Looked pretty explosive.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Both in the run and the pass game. He had a 30, or it was 3rd and 20 is what it was, and I believe he had like a 26, 28-yard screen pass.
He did.
Earlier on to extend the drive for Southeastern's lone touchdown drive in Starkville. But, what did you think of the game, Troy?
Oh, yeah. Like you said, you never want to lose a football game and stuff like that. But, Harlan Dixon, he led Southeastern in both rushing with 51 yards, 6.4 yards per carry, and passing too with 42 yards and 4 receptions. That play you were talking about, it went for 28 yards.
Okay, 28.
So that was a big mark for him. But we definitely lost this game with the rushing. I mean, you look at this running back trio for Mississippi State. Joquavius Marks, 127 yards, 2 tuds. Mike Wright, 5 carries, 95 yards.
That's a quarterback from Vanderbilt who transferred.
Yeah. And then Creed Whitmore, only two rushing attempts for 57 yards. Yeah, just insane. And their QB Will Rogers, 20 of 29, 227 and 2 tuds.
Yeah.
So, great overall offensive game from them, but we definitely got beat on a rushing game on this past Saturday.
Mm-hmm. I'll jump in and say, really, just a SEC opponent, really just the depth kind of showed in that second half. Got outscored 20-0, but I thought we played well in the first half considering the opponent. Only down 20-7 within 3 points at one point, like I said. Also, shout out to Ian Goodley, sophomore safety for Southeastern. I believe he had, 15 or 16 tackles against Mississippi State. I believe 11 of them were in the first half. He won Southland Conference Defensive Player of the Week.
Yep.
So hats off to him. And that's one of the young players in the secondary we thought would step up, and he did in a big way. Obviously losing Zai and Furlando.
Exactly.
But
15 total, 8 solo, and 7 assisted.
Yeah, he went crazy. That's a good sign for that defense. And they played well overall in the first half. But like I said, just the depth. Mississippi State got a block punt. Kind of just snowballed in Starkville with the Cowbells. But this week, take on South Alabama in Mobile. Another stiff test for these Lions. South Alabama was 10-3 last year. They lost to Troy with the tiebreaker, I believe, in their division, or they would have went to the Sun Belt Championship. They were picked by the media. They're one of the favorites for sure, if not the favorite. So they did lose to Tulane.
37-17.
Okay, 37-17. So Tulane, 3-score win there. But obviously the Green Wave are a very solid team.
Yeah.
Last year beat USC in the Cotton Bowl, ranked again. They take on Ole Miss this weekend at home. It'll be interesting to see that game. But so the Lions gonna have their work cut out for them. But let's kind of talk about both the quarterbacks. You kind of told me, and I agree. We're both kind of expected Eli to take the first snap.
Yeah.
Just because he started last year, and we heard there wasn't too much separating the two. Obviously, both are going to play. Coach Selfo seems to like that 2-quarterback system a lot. And I think they'll build a lot better in conference play when you're not facing SEC pass rush.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Zach took the first snap and kind of say what you saw from them out there.
Oh yeah,
this past weekend.
Yeah, they both played solid again. Like I said, going against an SEC opponent, Mississippi State. Yeah, exactly. Not much time to throw. Really, really, really outmatched week 1. But as the season goes on, I do expect them to bond and sort of had the chemistry just like Eli and Cephas a year ago. So that's kind of what I'm expecting from Zach and Eli, especially since Zach he can run. Really, really, really good athlete as he showed back in high school, and I believe we said that last episode too.
Right.
So those are just things to look out for. So once we really get into the meat of the season, we really want to see these quarterbacks play really, really some really great football.
Right. I'm looking really. Obviously, South Al will be a big favorite. It is a more beatable opponent than Mississippi State, but I mean, I don't think the line's coming out. I'd imagine it's maybe 15 to 20 points. I could be totally wrong, but I'll see if we can hang in there in the first half again, and this time see if we can make some more plays in the second half, and I mean, make them sweat a little bit. The pressure will be on them. The closer the later in the game, if it's still close. So, we'll see with that. Trying to think if we left anything out with Southeastern football.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So, let's hop into fantasy football. Obviously, we're excited about the Lions, though, this year. Picked to win the Southland. Tough non-conference, but this is week 2 at South Alabama. I believe it's at 4 p.m., right? Kickoff?
Let me
in Mobile
check.
This Saturday.
Yeah.
And it'll be on ESPN Plus for all you Lions fans out there that want to view the game and get to watch the green and gold perform. So, with that said, let's hop into fantasy football. Obviously, Lions and the Chiefs tonight at Arrowhead, 7:20, I believe, at ABC or NBC, I think.
Now,
huge game to start the season, defending Super Bowl champs.
Exactly. So, obviously, news that was yesterday or 2 days ago. Travis Kelce hyperextended knee that did kind of switch out like some fantasy stuff.
Right.
Again, that does kind of suck because I think this is the first time in his career he's ever missed. He could potentially miss a game.
I saw a stat. It's been like at least 4 or 5 seasons, I think, since he's even.
I actually think since 2013.
Okay, that's insane.
Due to injury
for a tight end too. I mean, you're not only receiving, but you're blocking a lot of time. That's impressive.
So he missed the game in 2020 due to COVID. That's an injury.
Right.
And he sat out, but that was only because he was resting. And the Chiefs, they've been good basically his whole career.
Yeah. So they're already locked up.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the first time in his career that he's missing a game due to injury.
Right.
So that's really a testament to his durability and the work he puts in the offseason. But it does suck right before week 1. But that does kind of affect fantasy users as well. So feel bad for the fantasy owners who have Travis Kelce. Might be a little rough 1 to 2 weeks without him.
I mean, Kelce's been the number 1 tight end in fantasy football. Seems like almost the last decade since Gronk retired. He's been that guy. He isn't officially out tonight, but I read recently. What time is it? We're about
4:30.
Less than 3 hours away from kickoff. So, it's risky to play him. I think if he's active, you have to, just because he's so good for fantasy owners. But I think that I read the Chiefs are leaning towards not playing, which I think is smart for them. Yeah, it's week 1. You need. Besides Mahomes, I think he's probably their best player.
He is.
As well as Chris Jones, who's actually not playing tonight either. But with that being said, let's get into the stardom sit-ems this week. So actually, the computer died unfortunately, but I got my list here.
Yes, sir. While you bring it up, I can start. I can start off with a couple of my picks. One, I got Anthony Richardson versus the Jaguars. I know he's a rookie, but obviously Anthony Richardson being 6'5", I don't know what was he
he's like
240.
Build your athlete.
He's crazy, and so he's crazy. He got the starting job for a reason, and I really think his mobility and the fact that he is a passer and a running QB, I think he's going to put up some really, really, really good numbers in terms of fantasy for against Jacksonville. Another one I got, same logic, Fields versus the Packers. Now I know the Packers defense is like really really good, but I think with the addition of DJ Moore, another year with Mooney, you get Claypool for a full off season now, building up that chemistry. Yeah, along with drafting a good offensive line and the fact that Fields is also a dual threat quarterback. I think he's going to have a good week one performance in terms of fantasy against the Packers. So those are two guys who I'm looking at. You got anyone else?
Yeah, for quarterbacks, let's stick with that. I'll finish the startums and we can go into the sit-ems. But I got Kirk Cousins versus the Bucks. The Vikings are heavy favorites in that game. I don't see them losing at home. Bucks, there are a lot of new faces. Going to be led by Baker Mayfield. Vikings defense was shaky last year, but I expect them to perform more so just from the Bucks being kind of having the gel and not expected to be that great on offense this year. I expect the Vikings to be ahead by a lot. I think Kirk will ball out against the Bucks. Then I got Russell Wilson against the Raiders. I saw something about Chris Jones posted on his Instagram story. That's the Raiders' basically their best player on defense.
Chandler Jones.
I'm sorry. Yeah, their best pass rusher. Something about with his contract, there's a dispute, unhappy. Raiders just aren't supposed to be that good this year.
Especially with Jimmy G.
Yeah, right. I think with Sean Payton and Jerry Jeudy, actually, though, he might be questionable. I'm not sure. I think he is.
They have so many receivers questionable.
Yeah. That is something to look out for. I do think, though, first game with Sean Payton, I expect Javonte Williams, the running back, to have a good game there. And it's in Mile High. I think Russell Wilson is good to start. Now, these also might add, like, the obvious quarterbacks like Mahomes, Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen, like those guys. We're not going to include them on here because if you have them, you're starting them. These are kind of like fringe guys that you might have to make a decision on if you waited for a quarterback in your league. And then my last one's Tua against the Chargers. I just think that game's going to be a shootout in L.A. And with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, that's can't get much better than that.
Exactly.
I'll go into the sit-em. So this one, I don't want to spoil the next segment we're about to do after the start of sit-ems, but I actually do think the Steelers are going to upset the Niners this week, but I do have Kenny Pickett as a sit. I think it'll be an old-school, low-scoring game. I think Najee Harris, they might lean on him a lot. Now, of course, Deontay Johnson and Pickens, Freiermuth. Pickett could wind up having a good game, but I think you got to temper your expectations against arguably the best defense in the league. And then my other one's Deshaun Watson against the Bengals. I know the Browns have kind of had the Bengals' number in the regular season the last few years. I think Burrow finally got his first win over them the second time around. They played him last year, but I expect the Bengals to win. They made some off-season acquisitions, improved that defense, and I think Deshaun's still kind of getting his feet under him. I think he'll have a good bounce-back year, but I don't see it week one.
Yeah, you see, I agree with the pick, with the Watson pick, but I do have a different Steeler. I actually went the opposite direction. I picked Najee as a sit versus the Niners.
I can see that.
Because I do think Joey's coming back. So Najee, Joey is there. You got to go against Fred Warner. That's
it's not an ideal matchup.
Yeah, exactly. Especially week one on the road. So I do have Najee as sit. And bit of a hot take, I do have Rodgers as a sit week one versus the Bills. I read that last year the Bills, they were in terms of fantasy, the Bills were like one of the best defenses against fantasy QBs. So that's one. Plus, it's a completely new team for Rodgers, and
that is true.
New team, new roster. Although the same OC with Nathaniel Hackett, but I do think that he will struggle just week one. I think Rodgers will solidify himself. I think he'll have a bounce back season as a whole, but just for week one standards, I think he'll struggle.
So that's with quarterbacks. Let's hop in the running backs. So stardoms, I have Jahmyr Gibbs tonight against the Chiefs. I think he's going to have a big game. I know he's a rookie, but, rookie running backs have really been fantasy gold the last few seasons. Chris Jones is out, the Chiefs' best player on defense, on that defensive line. And Gibbs is really a dual threat running back. He catches out the backfield. I read the Chiefs were third. They gave up the third most receptions, I think, to running backs last year. So I expect that game to be high scoring. I think it has the highest over-under out of all the NFL games this week. I think Gibbs is a good start. Also, J.K. Dobbins against the Texans. Ravens' heaviest favorite of all the Week 1 games. Rookie quarterback Stroud going to start for Houston. They're just not very good. I think the Ravens will have a bounce-back year with Lamar, and they love to run the ball. J.K. Dobbins looked really good at the end of last year coming back from that injury, and I think he's fresh and healthy, and I think he's ready to go. And then my final start on that running back is James Cook versus the Jets. The Jets were kind of middle of the pack against running backs, but I think the Bills in that divisional game, I think it's going to be – I actually do think I know you said sit Rodgers. I think it's going to be rather high scoring. That might not necessarily mean Rodgers does good, but I do think Cook is going to be back and forth. I expect him as RB1 this year to get a lot more carries and receptions out the backfield.
That's a great list. And for my sit-ems for more running backs, I do have Ramondre Stevenson or Zeke. I think Zeke is RB2, huh?
Yeah, for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Against the Eagles.
Against the Eagles, that's a tough opponent. I think that's a sit-em right there. And that's really it. Maybe Tony Pollard struggles week 1 against the Giants coming back from that surgery. We don't know how he's going to look. But yeah, that's really it in terms of my sit-ems for week 1.
I do have 3 running backs just to get out real quick, and I'll let you go into receivers. But I got Rachaad White versus the Vikings. I actually think he'll have a solid year simply because he's the lead back. He doesn't have much competition. I think the Bucs aren't going to be very good. They could be leaning on him some with Baker Mayfield as their quarterback. Also, James Conner against the Commanders. They're starting Joshua Dobbs. Cardinals widely considered, if not at least one of the worst teams in the league. Commanders got a really good front. Chase Young, I believe, is healthy again. So I think they're just going to sell out on the run and dare Dobbs to throw. I don't think that's not going to be good for James Conner. And then Colts running backs versus the Jags. I think I expect the Jags to win, not in a blowout, but I think they'll win decisively. And I think that'll make Anthony Richardson have to air it out more. And also, he runs a lot himself. And also, you don't know with Jonathan Taylor, the holdout with the contract, between Deion Jackson, Ian Hull, I think it was the rookie they have. Not bad to pick him up. It's worth a dart throw, the stash on your bench, but I wouldn't confidently start either of those guys week 1.
Exactly.
And then get into wide receiver. You could.
Oh yeah, yes sir. So startums for wide receivers. Obviously, you can pick guys like Jamar Chase, Waddle, Hill, AJ Brown.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with more of a underrated pick. Give me DK against the Rams. I think that's a great matchup for DK. Big strong receiver coming off a great season. So DK against the Rams. Also give me CeeDee Lamb against the Giants. He was phenomenal last season.
Yeah,
I think he'll have another amazing season as well. And last but not least, this man is Mr. Week 1. He plays bad for the rest of the year, but Week 1, for whatever reason, he's amazing. Gabe Davis against the Jets.
I forgot. I was trying to think of who you were gonna say.
Yeah, he's Mr. Week 1. He's going to have like 200-something yards, 3+ touchdowns against the Jets, and then disappear for the rest of the season. But start on Week 1 because he's Mr. Week
1. I'll add on to that. I got Chris Olave as a starter versus the Titans. They kind of have a leaky secondary. I expect Olave to be a Pro Bowler this year. I think I said that last podcast. I really think he's going to have a breakout year and start instantly week 1. Then Jahan Dotson versus the Cardinals. He's another guy I like in his sophomore season at receiver. Terry McLaurin, I believe, is banged up.
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably will play versus the Cardinals Sunday, but he's got a turf toe.
Ooh.
Nothing to play around with. That's kind of a tricky injury. He's their one. Dotson as their two. I think with him being a little banged up, he could get even more targets. And they're playing the Cardinals. I expect Sam Howell. I know he's unproven, but I think he'll have a good game. And then Chris Godwin versus the Vikings. I think the Vikings will handily win at home against the Buccaneers. And I expect Baker to have to air it out a lot in the second half to catch up. And Godwin's a move the chains guy. A lot more safer pick than Mike Evans, in my opinion. And then sit 'em wide receivers. I have Michael Pittman on the Colts versus the Jaguars. Now, that's kind of – I'm not super confident in that pick, but I just think I know you like Richardson week 1. I would just say err on the side of caution. If you have anyone else that's kind of what with Pittman, I would start them. Simply because it's a rookie quarterback, first career start. Don't necessarily know how he's going to distribute the targets amongst his receivers. Marquise Brown versus the Commanders. Josh Dobbs is the quarterback. No disrespect to him, but can't have too much confidence in any pass catchers for the Cardinals. And then I have Ravens wide receivers versus the Texans. I do think they're going to beat the Texans handily. I think Lamar will have a good game. But I see him connecting with Andrews a lot.
Yeah.
And I do think the Ravens receivers will have a good year. It's just hard to pick for fantasy which one he will go to in week 1 because you got Odell, Rashad Bateman, and Zay Flowers. So I'll kind of take a wait-and-see approach if you own any of those three. And, yeah, that's what I got for receivers.
And for my sit-ups, Christian Kirk versus the versus the Colts. I do think with Kyron Ridley, I do think he'll get the bulk of the targets week 1 versus the Colts. Another one that I do have is possibly I guess since Gabe Davis has gone off, maybe Stephon Diggs. Especially since with the off season, with all this drama going around with him, you just never know. And last but not least, I do have Tyler Lockett having like a mediocre game. So yeah, those are it. That's really it. Yeah.
And let's hop into tight ends, try to roll through this, and then kind of excited for our upcoming segment. Put our heads together and came up with that, but we'll let y'all get the starting sits first. So let's round them out. Tight end, I got Tyler Higbee starting. Start him versus the Seahawks. Cooper Kupp is hurt. Who else is Stafford going to throw the ball to?
Yeah, exactly.
Higbee was tight end 6, I believe, in points. It was either – I don't know if he finished that. I think it was point – I think he actually did finish it because I know he may have been banged up. It was either points per game or he finished as tight end 6, but underrated tight end. So it's such a thin position in fantasy football. I'd start him. A sit I have is Dalton Schultz on the Texans. He got paid a lot by them. He's been really good in Dallas with Dak. As much flack as he gets, Dak and him did have a connection. As much flack as Dak gets, I mean, and I think he's still a solid quarterback, even though he can be inconsistent at times. But C.J. Stroud, that's his new quarterback, rookie. I think he's talented. You could say, yeah, he'll check down to the tight end a lot, but it's really just too many question marks for me. And yeah, do you have any tight ends? Or
I do have one start. I don't have any sit-ups, but I do have one start. I'm gonna go with Dallas Goedert.
The Eagles.
Of the Eagles, I can see him. I see the Eagles absolutely smashing the Patriots. I do think Dallas Goedert, he's gonna be like a big red zone threat. Could look to grab in, around 2 touchdowns. So I think Dallas Goedert could really have a really productive week 1 versus the Patriots, alongside of Smith and A.J. Brown.
And then for defense and kicker, I had one start 'em, sit 'em for each of those. So defense, start the Commanders, again, playing the Cardinals. Josh Dobbs, journeyman backup quarterback. Cardinals just not a very good football team. And the Commanders have a really good front. One of the better defenses in the league. I think they're going to be fantasy gold in week 1. Bench, I do have kind of a trick one. I have both the Dolphins and the Chargers benching, both of them, because I just think the game's going to be a shootout between Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa. Both are pretty solid defenses, maybe around the middle of the pack to better, but I wouldn't start either one in week 1. And then kickers, I got start Jason Myers, Seahawks kicker versus the Rams. Geno Smith had a breakout campaign last year. They got Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first round just to solidify their weapons on offense. I think they're going to have a good season, and the Rams are just kind of a dumpster fire, if we're being honest. And then Chad Ryland versus the Eagles. I'm sure I didn't even know who he was until today, but he's the New England Patriots starting kicker. They actually spent a 4th-round draft pick on him, let Nick Folk go in free agency. But kind of like you were saying, I don't think the game maybe it'll be closer than you think, but I don't see them winning, and I don't see them moving the ball much on that vaunted Eagles defense.
Yep. And for me, for defense, I got to pick my team, Steelers, man. I think, like you said, I think it'll be a close game, which is why I'm picking Steelers. And then Brock Purdy, he had surgery in his elbow, his throwing arm this past season. So you don't know what he's going to look like week 1. I could see him throwing a couple balls short that may result in an interception, or maybe he fumbles, which, you know what I'm saying?
TJ Watt's back healthy as well.
Exactly. TJ Watt's back healthy. Joey Porter looks amazing. Yeah. So, give me the Steelers defense to start. And defense, I'll probably sit. Probably the Browns defense. I think the Bengals are going to come in. Even though Burrow had that injury scare, they still have so much talent on that team. Right. Obviously with Chase, Higgins, Boyd,
Joe Mixon.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. I think they have a good tight end too. I forgot his name, but I know their tight end's pretty solid. So that offense is just way too good. So I think they're gonna put up some points. So I would sit the Browns defense if you do have them, and that's all I got. So I'm ready to. If you want to go into our next segment.
Yeah. So this is what I was excited about. I was kind of foreshadowing. So we got lock of the week. So that means me and Troy, whichever game we think this team is definitely winning. There's no way they're losing. That we got that. We also have upset of the week and then ice cold take of the week. So I'll start us off with the locks of the week. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kind of talked about it earlier, but Baker Mayfield has had an up and down career to say the least. I think Minnesota wins comfortably at home. That's my lock of the week.
So my lock of the week, give me the give me the Ravens over the Texans. Texans are going up to Baltimore, I believe. Yeah. Ravens, we talked about it. Lamar got healthy over the offseason. They're brought in Odell, drafted Zay Flowers. The defense is a bit iffy, but the Texans are just one of the bottom 5 teams in football, whereas the Ravens, I believe, I expect them to win at least like 11 games or something like that in this coming season. So give me the Ravens over the Texans. I see Lamar Jackson having like 350 plus total yards by himself. Ravens over Texans pretty easily. And for my upset of the week, it's the opposite of yours. I got the Bucks over the Vikings.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to do like a hot
some
take.
Different opinions.
Yeah, Zach. I wanted to do like a really hot take. So again, the Bucks are gonna be. I think the Bucks aren't gonna be a good team. But if there is one game I could see them winning, is this one. I got Baker Mayfield throwing for 250 plus, and like 3+ touchdowns. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to be the recipients of those touchdowns. So it'll be a close game though. It'll be like 27-24, giving Bucks over Vikings, and Bucks fans are going to feel good about themselves, and then they'll come back down to earth by week 9.
So let's see. My upset of the week. Now, this isn't a major one. I think I saw some analysts are picking this too, but technically the 49ers are 2.5-point faves at Pittsburgh. Long travel across the country. I do like Brock Purdy, but I want to see, like you said, he's coming off an elbow injury. I want to see him. This is his first full season as the starter with the pressure on him. Yep. He does have a slew of weapons on that offense, but I like the Steelers. I think they're going to have a bounce-back season. And you know better than anyone as a big Steelers fan, that defense usually is always vaunted. That's what they pride themselves on.
Exactly.
I think it'll be a low-scoring, kind of old-school game. I know I said sit Pickett. I think he could be a streaming option at times this year, or even maybe develop into a low-end quarterback one by midseason. But I see Pickens mossing somebody for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my upset pick.
All right, and then we go into the Saints and Titans preview real quick.
Or first, we got ice cold takes.
Oh yeah, ice cold takes. Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
So yeah, I'll start it off with that. So ice cold, and so Lions. I got them beating the Chiefs tonight. Travis Kelce, we're not sure. I haven't gotten any alerts on whether he's going to play or not. But obviously, if he doesn't, huge advantage to the Lions, or advantage Lions. Chris Jones is also out. Might have a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover. I know it's kind of tough betting against the Chiefs and Arrowhead with Mahomes, but I'm going to say it. I think the Lions, a lot of people like them this year to make a playoff run. They got some talent. Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he will total over 100 yards from scrimmage and get in the end zone at least once. So, yeah, that's my ice cold take of the week.
That's a great pick right there. My ice cold take of the week probably would be Sunday Night Football. I think now obviously I stated that I think CD is going to have a great game. But I think the Giants are going to hang in there with the Cowboys. I think they could beat the Cowboys week 1.
I do too.
On Sunday Night Football.
It's in New York as well.
Yeah, in New York. Barkley's back. And like the Giants and Cowboys, I believe both games last year were close. I think.
It's always a good game.
Yeah. So yeah, give me the Giants. Give me the Giants at home versus the Cowboys Sunday Night Football. That's my ice cold take of the week.
For sure. And then trying to think for time's sake, we're trying to make it a little shorter episode for y'all this week and going for about 30 minutes. But we're about at that. I was thinking, and y'all comment down below what y'all think, that we could kind of have a records from our picks from the year and go back and add them up.
Yeah.
And maybe we could do like whoever, like I'm basically just every NFL game. Did you want to pick? Like
definitely.
I'll go and we'll go through them quick because I already have in mind who I want, and then whoever's record's better on our next episode, we could have like a line or something.
Yeah,
I was thinking something like that. So y'all let us know in the comments below, whoever's watching. But so tonight, Lions Chiefs. I'm gonna go Lions. With the upset, Falcons Panthers. I'm gonna pick Falcons at home. Texans at Ravens. Bengals at Browns. I got the Bengals. Jags at Colts. I got the Jags. Buccaneers at Vikings. I got the Vikings. Those were the noon games for Sunday. And obviously, Lions Chiefs is tonight. Thursday Night Football. Continue with the noon games. I got the Saints beating the Titans in the Superdome. I think it'll be a close game, but I got the Saints coming out with the dub. Niners at Steelers. I got the Steelers. Cardinals at Commanders. I got the Commanders. Packers at Bears. This is kind of an upset. I had the Packers winning. I don't know why. I think the Bears will have a better season than them, but to me, it just seems like the Packers always have their number. Even though it is at Soldier Field. We'll see, but I'm going with the Packers. Raiders at Broncos. I got the Broncos taking care of business at home. I do have the Chargers just edging the Dolphins in LA. A little revenge for that. That was the Jaguars, another Florida team. I was thinking that game, but no, the Dolphins, I think they'll lose to the Chargers. I think the Chargers will win in LA in a shootout. Whoever gets the ball last, I think Herbert will go down and clutch up. Then I got the Eagles going into Foxborough, winning that game. And then I got the Rams losing at Seattle. I think the Seahawks, better team at home. And then Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at Giants. I agree with you. I think the Giants will win in a close game. And then Monday night, this is where maybe we differ a little bit. I think Rodgers has a solid game. I'm going to go with the Jets to upset the Bills. Even though they are at home, obviously the Bills have really ran that division with Josh Allen the last around 3 seasons. But I think the Jets make a statement with their new look squad.
Yep, those are some good picks. So for me, I got the Chiefs over the Lions. Chiefs over Lions. Mahomes is going to carry tonight. Falcons over Panthers. That rushing attack is going to be too much for the Panthers. Yeah, obviously, I said the Ravens are going to destroy the Texans. Give me the Bengals over the Browns. Give me even though I said Richardson was going to have a good fantasy game, I do still think the Jags are going to beat the Colts. Obviously, sticking with my hot take, Bucks over Vikings in a close one. Saints over Titans. That's also pretty easy. Saints got an easy schedule to begin with. Great defense. Steelers over Niners. Always got to root for my Steelers. Commanders over the Cardinals. I give me the Bears over the Packers. Also, Broncos over the Raiders. Give me the Dolphins over the Chargers. I do think Dolphins will get revenge because last year, last year they played, and there was a bit of hype going into that game with Emmanuel Acho calling Tua better than Herbert, and then Herbert responded with I think almost a perfect game while Tua was 3 of 20.
I forgot about that. They hyped up that game, and I think the Chargers wound up blowing them out.
Chargers won pretty convincingly last year. So give me the Dolphins getting their little get back week 1. Give me the Eagles over the Patriots pretty convincingly. Same thing with the Seahawks over the Rams. Sticking with the hot take. Giants over the Cowboys week 1. And give me the Bills over the Jets. Those are my picks for week 1.
Solid picks all around. So, in our last segment, of course, can't forget the Hoodats, the Saints, at home against the Titans. Let me pull up my prediction. So I have Saints 21, Titans 17. I do think it'll be a close game. I think King Henry in the rushing game keeps them in it. Also, I expect rookie Treylon Burks to make some plays. But for the Saints, Olave, I just keep going on about it. I love him this year. I think he'll have over 5 catches, over 75 yards, and a touchdown week 1. And then this is kind of goes into maybe bold prediction, but more so for the Saints. I say that Marshawn Lattimore holds DeAndre Hopkins to under 50 receiving yards.
Ooh, that's a bold take.
He's done a great job shadowing ones in his career. New team for Hopkins, new connection with Tannehill. I expect the Saints to get the dub 21-17. What about you?
I also had the Saints getting the win over the Titans. Now, obviously, they added in D-Hop, but overall, that Titans roster, very, very mid-tier quarterback.
Yeah.
Offensive line is not that great. Give me the Saints winning that ball game. I'm gonna go with 26-13.
Okay.
Give me the Saints winning that ball game. I think they're gonna control the clock. I think they're gonna just dominate through and through, especially defensively. Defensively is where they're going to really shine at in week 1. And like you said, I do see D-Hop having a mid-tier game, not because of him necessarily, but because of the guy throwing to him.
Right.
I think that's why he's going to have a mid-game in terms of stats. So yeah, that's it. That's what I got.
I hope the Saints win by what you said, so you don't have to sweat it out. But
exactly.
Yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert.
And I'm Troy Allen.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for watching.